All right. Hey guys, we are live today. I have Samax Amen. He's here to talk to me about some things I'm going to let him spill it for you a little bit. I've had him on my show before, Punches of Pink. He is an artisan. Um, and so I'm Jen with Pink Light Images, and Samax, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Samax Amen. I'm a hip hop cartoonist, and I draw things for fun and profit. I do a lot of help people with marketing and things like that also.
Yes, you do, and you've helped me quite a bit.
I try.
So what was great about this happening, which I knew it was going to happen eventually, but when you posted about the movie Jerry Maguire,
Mm-hmm.
I resonated with that for some reason. I wanted to hear more about your thoughts on, and here's what your post said. Seek wisdom wherever it may be found. I have been teaching people all kinds of lessons with this silly little movie since I was in college. I invite you to go familiarize yourself with the gospel according to Rod Tidwell and see what you can learn about what's going on in America today. Peace. So that's what I wanted to kind of talk about today, is that we both like the movie. We both understand there are layers to this movie, but I'm so curious to see what inspiration and encouragement you have pulled out of Jerry Maguire. So let's just dig right in.
Awesome. Yeah, so Jerry Maguire came out when I was in college. I didn't see it in theaters, but by the time I saw it, which it would have been on video tape or maybe cable somehow, I was hip deep into being what today you would call like an evangelical Christian. So I was very like kind of hardcore evangelical, but because I got into it as an adult, I was very like I was thinking, I thought about everything about it more than just doing whatever like traditions were. So what it mainly entailed was that I read the Bible a lot all the time, and then I interpreted basically everything around me in those terms. Now, I would not go so far as to say that I'm evangelical now, because I don't care. People believe whatever they want. I don't care. But Jerry Maguire, but the way that I was about studying like wisdom comes from that time period. So like it's fun, like those movies that I brought. Movies were a big part of it. Like superhero comics and cartoons and stuff was a big part of it. People that were around me at the time, or if they're watching this, are probably laughing. And Jerry Maguire was like one of those that was I loved how much it surprised people when I would talk about, yeah, it's like Jerry Maguire, and I would go into something and the person would be like, this is not the movie that I remember. And I'll be like, just go back and look at it. And so like, but what you could really boil it down to now is that Jerry Maguire was a person who was very self-centered, who had an epiphany that he was doing stuff the wrong way. Now, he didn't say, well, I'm going to leave my career. I'm going to go become some totally different kind of person. He just said, I'm going to do my job the way that it should be done. He wrote his manifesto. He took it to Kinko's, which would be a FedEx office now. But he took it to Kinko's. He impressed the Kinko's guy, and when he took it back to his job, it was like a death warrant. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, you can't practice that here, And sometimes, like right now, I think, especially with regard to the post that you're talking about on Facebook, I was just looking around and seeing white people just having a moment where they're like, look, we love Black people, and that was like basically a whole lot of, we love black people kind of being shouted into the phone to somebody who is just like, Rod Tidwell. It's like, whatever, dude, show me the money,
Yeah.
because it's like, it's very tempting in anytime that you're having an epiphany to feel like just saying something and saying it loud enough to show that you're not ashamed that you had an epiphany, and that's it. But so Rod Tidwell and his wife challenged Jerry repeatedly after this, because it when you have an epiphany like that, like, you're gonna not do it right at first. Like, you've lived your whole life how you are. You built a whole system and a way of doing things on how you are. And you're going to need to do a little bit more reorganizing than what first occurs to you. And I would say that's probably what I was talking about at the time.
Yeah.
It was an interesting couple of weeks of, I don't know what happened to Aunt Jemima after that. You know what I mean? I don't, and people kind of arguing back and forth about what, that very surface level change would do. I mean, I haven't been keeping up. I don't know what's happening to the Washington Redskins, right now. But even the last few years have been like a series of watching people and organizations have this kind of Jerry Maguire moment about something, whether it's sexual harassment, which as a man, like, I remember kind of having an aha moment about that and having to do this with that, you know what I mean? That when it's not you, it's very easy to say, yeah, I'm enlightened or whatever, it's cool. But then whenever you make an effort and it's kind of exposed as being a very weak effort, that's one of the things. Like, Jerry Maguire is great for that. Like, for me, like, I've just kind of put myself in the positions of different characters in the film and say, okay, this is what they're experiencing right now. And so, like, even like last night, we were excited about the show, and I was like, I hear my mom, I gotta go to bed. Because I could see myself, like, getting into a very long, and mostly just, silly back and forth. But I was like, yeah, I can't do that right now.
Yeah.
And so that's when, so like a lot of people, like, my mind is like full up to here with like movie quotes and characters and stuff, and to the point where, like, sometimes I'm quoting a line from a movie at somebody and they don't know it.
Yes.
And so I throw in a little bit of extra of the line so that they know that something is happening. They're like, what is he? Okay. And they go, well, I got the gist of it. Because sometimes I'll say, I hear my mom, I gotta go to bed. And they know it's not about my mom, but they're like, well, maybe he's tired. So, or he has to go now, because sometimes it'll be the middle of the day and I'll be like, I hear my mom, I gotta go to bed. And I'm just leaving. That just means I'm opting out of the conversation right now. And
funny.
And so sometimes people get it, and that's fun. Sometimes people get it, and that's fun.
It is super fun. Like,
but I definitely, like, I look at the relationship between Jerry and Rod Tidwell, like, right now, it's like Rod Tidwell is your calling, you know what I mean? It's like he's what's calling you. Like, you need to do something specific, and this is the right choice. But it's not an easy choice because it's right. It's just right. And then there's all kinds of other distractions or other things that seem like a better idea, or that seem like a easier money. So I'm a cartoonist, as we said earlier, and there's all kinds of stuff that's like, as an artist, it's like, well, here's some easy money over here. Like, why don't you just go do this with your time? And that's cush. And it'll let you down. You know what I mean? You'll think that you're in good shape, and then it'll let you down. Like, it'll abandon you. But, you know, Rod's going to be there. But you gotta, you gotta be there for Rod. You know, you gotta
have a few intense conversations.
Right. Well, and so the one part wherever he goes and he thinks, so sometimes Rod is your friend and sometimes he's not. You know, that's why I have this thing that your calling is not a suggestion, right? And sometimes that's hard. You know, it's hard, but it's a better choice. Like I said, so in the interview that we did before, I said that it is very stressful, you know, but it's better stress, you know, to choose to follow your calling. And so sometimes, like the Rod Tidwell, you know, these are the ABCs of me. Like, you just have to get familiar with your calling and understand what the point is. But when it came down, you know, and Jerry and Rod were arguing because Jerry thought that Rod was a paycheck player, like he wasn't really showing up for himself, right? Mm-hmm. And they fought about it. Like, they didn't, you know, Rod walked away from it like seeming like he was not listening, but then he went out and did what he was called on to do, you know, like what he needed to do, which was to get killed and catch the ball, you know, and lay on the ground and scare everybody and then be okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cry, Jen. But anyway.
I'm not going to cry.
Right, exactly. I'm not going to cry, Roy. I really do love Jerry Maguire. So it's to me, it's an example. At that time in my life, and maybe it was just that was what I was figuring out, is that that a movie that doesn't overcommit to any one genre is the best kind of movie. Like, so it's kind of a romantic comedy, and it's kind of like a straight drama, and it has like a high occurrence of sports, you know, in it. Has a lot of famous people in it, you know, kind of, but they're not carrying it, you know. Yeah. And it's one of those times where, like, multi-genre movies that are basically built to be date movies. That's a good way to make a hit movie, or just to make a good movie, is to kind of think about everybody that you might want to show up, and to have like a lot of genre play. Cameron Crowe, who I think wrote it, but who's the director, he made another one of my favorite movies, which is Almost Famous. But yeah, Jerry Maguire is
on that bandwagon. It's not one of in my
man. So because of the well, anyway, we'll leave Almost Famous.
Leave that for another.
We're talking about Jerry Maguire today.
Jerry Maguire.
Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to say is you know, rest in peace to Kelly Preston.
That's where I was going next.
Who was Jerry Maguire's evil ex-wife in the movie. I was thinking about that a lot, like right before I got on. But you were going to say. You were going to say
right after I had to reschedule with you, and then got that news, and I was like, is this not the perfect time to discuss this movie anyway? I saw her when she was in The Experts with John Travolta. I mean, that's how far back I remember her. And absolutely, rest in peace. She was a spitfire actress, loved a lot of her characters. And she played her character very well in Jerry Maguire. Very intense.
Yeah, so like, it's the elements of when you make a decision, you should expect to be confronted by the past, you know, and by the system that you have set up around you. Jerry Maguire and his wife, and then Bob Sugar are great characters to kind of represent, like, probably more than anyone else, more than any line that I quote at people about being an artist actually is not Jerry or Rod Tidwell, it's Bob Sugar, who says it's not show friends, it's show business.
Yeah.
And as an artist, like one of the hard things is like being a business person, you know, like making business decisions. The fear of being Bob Sugar is what is holding everyone as an artist that I talk to who has difficulty. I think the fear of being Bob Sugar is what they're afraid of. They're afraid that they are gonna, like when they've had like a kind of manifesto moment and they're afraid that they are Bob Sugar, you know, they're going to become Bob Sugar if they try and do business. And I think that right now, the Jerry Maguire for me a lot is about remaining a human and doing your business. Like that's what Jerry's like kind of revelation was about, because he wasn't talking about like leaving and going and doing something else. He loved the business he was in. He loved something about it, you know what I mean? But he didn't like anything about the way it was being done. And I can't remember his name, but the agent, the older man who is like the ghost that is inspiring Jerry throughout the movie.
He's like, I wake up in the morning.
Dickie Fox or something, yeah. So I listen to a lot of you know, like Earl Nightingale, and I read you know, like Think and Grow Rich and stuff like that. And it's like these kind of like spiritual business dudes, you know, who are like very much they're business dudes. Like when you Earl Nightingale's clearly a business dude, but he's very deep, you know, and you know, kind of it's a lot of like how you do your business, like prayer, you know, and you do the things you do, and avoiding like you're gonna, you know, get money, like you're gonna get a lot of money doing your work, but you're also going to never do other people wrong to get there, you know, like very kind of, I guess because I became like conscious of money during the 80s or whatever. It was probably not a very good time to become conscious of money if you want to be a human being, because it was very much like kind of a greedy, you know, like I think the 80s pretty much ruined money. You know what I mean? Like it made it tough, like to be a human being and want to get paid to do stuff. Because everything money just seemed so like there's only like starving artist and, you know, investment banker, and that's it. You know, like you could only choose one of those, because that's the way that money was kind of just became this thing that it's so you know, dangerous and evil or whatever, you know. And that's one of the things that like I think Jerry Maguire is good for someone that's going through that, like kind of trying to figure out like where am I as an actual human being in the middle of all that. Because like Captain's, Jerry got hit with a revelation, and then instead of it being like you know, like a Bible story where the person is now perfect after getting hit with a bolt of lightning, like Jerry is a hot mess, you know, but he keeps trying to make, you know, sincere good choices.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I think while he was going through his work and business life, he was also going through the relationship sides of,
right.
Yes, he had the ex-girlfriend, fiance, but then like when he stepped in with Renee and realizing that he was just like, they kept saying he can't be alone, he can't be alone. It's like that combined with doing his work job and trying to figure out a relationship as well with a kid, and just so many dynamics and layers to that movie that he had to go through to get to a place, a healthy place, actually, a very healthy place. Once, I mean, that moment at the end when Rod's like, and Jerry's is like, I mean, and everybody's crying, and he's like, where's my wife? I need my wife.
Right. Right.
So it was just
Um,
that importance of sharing it with somebody, and not only that good relationship that he had built with Rod, but that good relationship he built with his spouse. And I was just like, that at the end ties it all together for me when I watch it. It's
yeah,
awesome.
definitely. Um, it's so the one of the things that it's like she was aware of Jerry, but didn't really care about Jerry until after he has this epiphany. And she's like, I can't watch him go down in flames because he's trying to do the right thing. You know, she read his memo and his mission statement, you know, it's
Yeah.
more of a mission statement. And she read it and she was like, wow, I was really moved by this, you know, and she was afraid, but she was like, I'm gonna go out on a limb, you know, with this guy. Um, I think it's just a very good everything is archetypal and you can move the parts into different places. Um, you can be a different character in the movie, like put as a decision making, you know, thought experiment, kind of put yourself in there and then say, okay, um, this is a new business partner and this is, so what is this person saying to me, you know? I'm, you know, I'm Renee Zellweger's character, and Jerry is this new idea that I'm interested in. And then you watch the movie play out, like you just play the story out, and you're like, oh, okay, that's how that could turn out, you know.
Yeah.
Or you know, what decision would I make at this stage, you know, based on that. Like I really do that kind of thinking, like when I don't know what to do. Not just with this, but with other movies. Like me and my friends, that's how we talk about problems. Is we're always like, remember in Jerry Maguire, whenever he's sitting on the couch with the little boy, and the little boy says, you know, or he says, you know, the human head, you know, whatever. And so that's what I meant. and then we go, oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
Well,
But
I know that our time is probably coming to a close here in a minute. I don't want to get cut off and miss all the good stuff, but
sure, yeah,
let's
questions.
go ahead and start wrapping it up in the next couple of minutes. And is there anything else, any final thoughts that you want to leave with? You have left us with so much to think about. Like I seriously like love the beginning of your thoughts on this, because I was like, okay, I can see how you see that. It's amazing. Like I love it.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I would say that one, Rod Tidwell is very much a um the spirit of whatever, you know, your pursuit is. You know what I mean? So if you're trying to improve in some way, that's great. Rod's gonna be a reality check for you, you know. But so like when Rod talks about like the core of what Rod is about is love, you know, like the you know, the Quan is like the passion for what you're doing. Um, and that to me, like that's whenever I'm trying to kind of realign, you know, whatever, when I'm watching it new, you know, and I'm realigning that part of it, I just think about whatever I'm most passionate about, whatever is what's the challenge, you know, and how does that connect to um, like if I'm having difficulty, you know what I mean? Because sometimes the difficulty is because um, I'm still trying to be safe, you know, and to split the difference between being selfish, which was where he was coming from before, and being truly in it, like truly kind of living that business or that career or that relationship that you're having, you know. Life isn't about feeling safe all the time. It's about, you know, being passionate and pursuing what you know, like what you're here for, you
Yeah.
know.
Like you started out with the calling. I love that. That
I
Rod was
really
the calling.
yeah, yeah. So when I was one of the things that I said that was really controversial when I was a chaplain is I was like, Rod Tidwell is Jesus. And people would be like, no, he can't be Jesus because he uses cuss words or whatever. And I was like, dude, just think a little bit. You know, it's like, one, Rod was willing to die on the football field. You know, like but he was mad because he wasn't being respected by the business, you know, and he wanted to be respected for what he was doing, you know. But he was willing to lay everything out there, and he wasn't going to let, you know, he kept Jerry on the phone, and Jerry lost all his clients, you know. And sometimes that's what happens, you know, is what your highest kind of calling will make you choose, and that's okay.
And you'll get real focused real quick, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because
focused.
Because so one, the other things like sometimes look better, you know, but you don't always know. Like, remember, you know, Kush was like gonna be the number one pick in the draft and all this other stuff, but Kush's dad they went behind their back and made a deal after they agreed and they shook hands and the word was stronger than oak and all that.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't. And so I am the business world or the job world promotes itself as a secure choice, you know, or this is what will make sure that you have everything you need.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine, you know, because I'm not telling everybody to go quit their job, but especially not right now. But is it? Because you just need to make sure that you are getting what was promised to you and that you secure it and you don't trust it, you know, like in those situations, because they're not making their decisions. Like, they're not making their decisions based on you. They're making their decisions based on them, you know. And it wasn't wrong for Kush to want to be the number one pick and all this other stuff, but his commitment was not to Jerry at all.
Yeah.
Jerry was like counting on him because he looked like he was safe. He looked like the best safe choice.
It would keep him afloat.
Right. Yes, exactly. And so, but that was the thing. Like, when Jerry called Rod kept him on the phone, and other people that were holding, you know, his competition went and took all of those people. There's no competition when you get into like who you really are meant to be. Like, you just, the only question is, are you doing it, you know, full tilt, or are you not doing it full tilt?
Yeah.
People can't really beat you at that. Bob Sugar can't steal the client that loves you. You know what I mean? Like, getting the commitment from Jerry meant everything to Rod. And then after that, it wasn't really no danger.
Yeah.
You know, in the same sense of like how other clients, you know, could be leveraged and could be, well, you know, we'll do this or we won't do that. Mm-hmm. But with Rod, that wasn't even possible. Even when at one point Rod's wife is like, maybe we should just leave, you know, or we're just gonna, you know, let me get Bob Sugar on the phone. Yeah. And she and he's like, no, you know, we want to get Jerry on the right page. You know, like that was like, you have a commitment to yourself. So Earl Nightingale, one of the things that he says is that people don't really make decisions, you know, like they want something, but they're trying to fix it to work first before they make a decision. So they say, well, I want this house, but I don't know because I don't have enough money. And you don't need the money until you make a decision, till you really make a decision that you are going to get it. Mm-hmm. And then you can make the other stuff line up somehow once you make the decision. It's like they say, you know, people say to a fireplace, like, if you give me some fire, I'll put some wood in, but it doesn't work like that. You know, you need the wood. So you become successful first, and then you get the outward success, but you become successful inside by making a decision to be successful and to pursue a plan, you know.
Right.
So that was the thing, like making the commitment to Rod Tidwell was a big deal, you know, because he was the truth, you know, like he was the real deal, you know.
Yeah.
And we see how that all went.
Yeah. It all ended like with one big giant, you know, you complete me.
Right. And it became like the linchpin that allowed him to be a better man.
Yeah.
Because was Kush gonna tell him, you know, not to shoplift the pootie or whatever? No.
Yeah.
Kush wouldn't have cared, you know what I mean? But Rod cared about him as a man. He's like, you can't do that. You know, and like the conversations that he would have with him and watching Rod's relationship with his wife, you know, inspired him, you know. And so he wanted to be like him. Right. He wanted to be like him. You know, he's like, I want that. And then, you know, he was still not all the way there until he lost it, you know. And then he said, you know what, that was it. And it's not going to get better than that. And you know, the wives club, you know, was in her girlfriends were all in there. He was able to impress them, you know, being sincere, you know.
Yeah. All right. So, well, I think hopefully Zoom's not going to cut us off anytime soon, but I think we have definitely maximized our little time here on our little small discussion about Jerry Maguire and the wisdom that we find within.
I think that if people just look at it like that, like look at it in those terms, it'll hold up, and it's a fun piece of art, you know, for kind of getting you through life, you know.
Yeah, I love movies. Movies kind of like are within my clockwork as well. It's just like, you know, one of those things that's infused and helps you think differently, see things differently. And you know, the artist that made the movie probably had that intention at some point to tell that story to get you to think or feel.
Right.
So, which is really cool. I like, you know, in some respect, I love the movie industry for that, you know, so I tend to see things like that. But we better wrap up because I don't want to get cut off. And I know that they're pretty strict on their time, and I know we've had a lot to talk about, and I really appreciate you coming on to share that encouragement and inspiration with us. And
no problem.
I will look forward to our next conversation, whenever that will be. It'll probably be about another movie, though. That'd be fun.
Anytime. I mean, I definitely got a million of them.
Yes. Well, everybody have a really good day. I just want to let you know that you can check out his work. He's got websites. He's got artwork everywhere. He does personal portraits. You just name it. He's been doing it. He's been helping me with my page. So at any point, you can reach out to him to get some cool art made. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys soon. So I'll say goodbye for now.